Yeah, I don't know if I'll read them.
Well, I was trying to find ways to keep your attention since my words usually don't. Boom!
TikTok all the time.
No, that was funny because I was like TikTok. You're like, no, Instagram. I
don't do TikTok.
I know it was funny regardless.
Who's posting you?
Snazzy. They're snazzy.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like them. So.
Huh.
That transition.
You're so distracted.
Reality.
So, are you able?
Gaze in my eyes.
Are you able or willing at this point to rule out Robert Hunt and Austin Jackson for Sunday?
I can rule out Robert Hunt. I cannot rule out Austin Jackson. I would not like to rule him out, and he shouldn't be ruled out. We'll get some work with him today and see how that goes. But
Practicing today.
oh yeah, he'll be participating in a limited fashion.
And Tyreek Hill, what's his status? And was it a high ankle sprain?
You know, it was. It was his ankle. It was of there is a lot of science behind it that I just was like. So he's he's had a good week, no setbacks. So we'll see how he does today. Feel good about him. So, just we have the present day to go through, but he'll be out there working. So excited about that, and no setbacks from yesterday.
I wanted to ask you a question about, I know it was just a workout, but we have a history with the Dominican. When I say we, I mean people in the media and people in the organization. And obviously, you guys wouldn't be looking at him if you felt that there wasn't a need or that you didn't see it as a viable option. But have you considered adding somebody like that could change or alter the dynamics of your locker room?
Oh, absolutely. I think the main thing is that, Chris Greer does not stay bored, ever. So, there's a list that he doesn't need to dust off because it doesn't accumulate dust. And, I think it's important that we explore all scenarios that, sometimes if you just close your mind off to something and say, no, this, I'm assuming this would be like this, or this person, his mind's at this spot, you kind of just have to really go in with open thought. Basically, you don't want to assume that things wouldn't work out because you're assuming things. So removing assumptions. I think we had a nice discussion. I don't see anything imminent happening, but I think it's important to not ever close your mind off to whatever and just keep open discourse to see where guys are at. That's all that was.
The decisions with Holland and with Xavier. So is there a certain point in the season where, even as conscientious and diligent as you guys have been about protecting the player from themselves and having a trainer have a major part of these decisions, is there a point during the season, whether it's the season finale, a playoff game, where you defer entirely to the players and say it's your call no matter what the trainer is advising you about risk of potential re-injury?
No, I think there's a point in your relationship with people where you, over time, you learn to trust their word. So I think they're in terms of, everybody's different, so they might mean I'm good to go, and that means they can play a quarter and a half or two and a half quarters. Well, that you're also protecting the team as well, because when you have when you have someone that goes into a game that maybe is short-sighted and then has to come out early, that tangibly affects the rest of the team and the depth and how stretched thin because of the league-wide mandate on how many actives you can have. So like that, there's a bunch of things at work, but kind of in the spirit of what you're asking, I do think that adjusts as the season progresses, and as you develop your relationships with people, and know by consistency what they mean and how that's going to play out.
those two guys in particular, Holland and Xavier. Any sense on Sunday?
We'll see how today progresses, but I'm not. I mean, there's a lot of guys in those categories that you don't want to get ahead of yourself. I think there's Xavier specifically yesterday had some encouraging practice and didn't take a step back. Both of them, I'm not feeling at liberty to say I know what they're going to feel like tomorrow, let alone after they get some work today. So we'll progress through that and then make a decision collectively with all parties, including them involved.
Dushan, yeah, went through full practice yesterday. So is he through concussion protocol yet? Is he in the final stages?
So he's in the final stages. He's now cleared for contact for today, and so we're hoping he gets fully cleared after practice. But things have gone well. Boom. Yeah, stumped.
Ricky Grossler was in TMP twice. Is there any reason for concern there? Is that or is extra vet rest at this point?
Extra vet rest with a guy that doesn't like taking it, but I have at this point in our relationship, I'm like, I don't care, Raheem. You're not practicing, and then he says, okay. And that's how that works.
What about Devon H.N.? Seems like he's gone through a few different things lately.
Yeah.
How is he doing now? How is he?
You find out new things about your younger players each and every day, and he is garnering the regard and respect of the locker room because he's had some things and he's learning how the NFL goes and how you play with some of that stuff. So we've had to take some extra precautions with his workload the last 2 weeks. No setbacks, and he's doing well. So I'm expecting to see him. I could tell you that. I'm expecting to see him on Sunday. That's something that I didn't have to tell you, Barry, that you're fired up about?
Yeah.
You're just typing?
I'm typing, but also listening.
Got it. So then we'll have, and he's doing well, and hopefully that he'll be able to get some more, even more reps as the coming weeks come. So happy about him.
How much does your what you do on offense transform itself from say September to December, and as you find out about your team? And
it's interesting. I don't think I've ever answered that question, but it's like ever present every single season, where you're very aware of what you're practicing and the concepts that your players are comfortable with, and then you're very aware of what defenses see and what your tendencies are, and so then you're evolving things constantly. New problem solvings occur, and by the end of the season, you're orchestrating like our offense knows more plays and knows the offense so much better than they do week one. And some of the stuff that you do week, because you're accumulating reps and as long as you're building upon things and building upon each other, we couldn't come to the players week one with the game plan that we have week 16, because it would be like, whoa.
So you're adding a lot more, not culling, not.
Yeah, well, you're just adjusting, and like you're alluding to, you're adjusting to what works for your players. You're doubling down on new things, and then you're evolving to how defenses are really going against you. So it's a multiplicity of evolution every single year. And I've always found that at the end of the season, typically, especially last year, this year for our guys, is our offense is more complex because they've spent more time and been more diligent and know more things, and we have new motions and different snap points and new combination blocks and all sorts of things that are building. It's one of the best parts about everything we're doing here is truly the players' scheme, because it is highlighting what they do well and having them evolve live speed during the course of the season. So it is very much a different scope than when we first start in September.
Coach, kind of expanding that timeline, you mentioned Dan Quinn earlier this week. You've worked with him, you've gone against him. Do you draw on that past experience against him in terms of game planning for it, or is it just 2023 Cowboys for the game plan?
No, there's you do to a certain degree where you understand, when you watch tape, I know firmly where I can actually hear him conduct a team meeting. There's a couple plays I was watching. I was like, oh, he loved this clip. He said, "This is us for sure." And then you kind of know where he's gonna emphasize. But for me, it's like once you see it, you can't unsee it. I can see all of his his relationship with his players, how connected he is, and how willing they are to strain, like on every play that I watch. So I can see his coaching just littered within the actual scheme. And then you also know that I knew the second the game happened last week that the version of the Dallas Cowboys we're about to see was going into the game expecting to have their best tackling day and to force some turnovers, because the second that a defense that has really been as good as anyone in the league at both of those things, everybody has down games, but you're going to return to your priorities, to your mantra, to the backbone of what makes you after a game where guys are a little irritated. So much like us 2 weeks ago, this Dallas Cowboys team has a bone to pick with football in general and we're going to get their best shot, which is what we want, because we're not just trying to accumulate wins. We're trying to get better and be our best in this time of the year. We've built up all year to have a challenge like this, so we're excited to take it.
The speech you gave in the last Hard Knocks episode on that episode, you showed a lot of accountability for your play calls. What do you hope that brings to the team, where maybe accountability is helped about this going in the past?
Oh no, I think it's I think it's how else would I be? Like I don't understand as a leader. I think you have to set the tone of what you want things to be like, and if you want accountable players, you better be accountable at every turn for yourself. So I think that's my obligation as a head coach is to in any moment that I know that I can be better, I shouldn't keep it to myself, because there's no point in that. That is the least that these players deserve. The least, because you want to talk about they come to work every day and are listening to people who are instructing them things, and their dreams hang in the balance. So for that's a tough life to live, and they have to hear so often, hey, do this way, do this that way. I don't understand. That's a big deal, and for you to be better as a football team, we are depending on them to be accountable. So if I'm depending on people to be accountable, for me to even have a job, the very least I can do is the exact thing that I'm asking of people. So, it just seems like it's not that big a deal. It was a bad play call. So, I think people, out of insecurity, I think people try to run away from ever being wrong, and I don't think that's the game of life. I think everyone messes up. Everyone's fallible inherently, so it's about learning from things. They'll always be accountable. Like this answer is probably too long. Right.
Mike, on the play calling topic, how much do you like Frank Smith in your ear on game days to remind you of things? Is that something you encourage from him?
Yeah.
As far as certain things, what you want to get to?
No, I think on game day the coaches all do an outstanding job, but namely Frank does an outstanding job of kind of adapting to the communication timing and being able to know the things to say and the timing to say them, and kind of keep me from deviating from a certain course or get me onto the right track, or it's collaborative in that we all are just trying to have the best play called that we have available to us, and so however we get there, that communication, it starts with Frank, but it goes to every position coach and assistant. People will chime in, with the only standard being you have to be the idea of talking just to talk, doesn't it? That's not. So we aren't too heavy verbally on game day because people know to speak when adding a piece of information that's helpful for the next decision.
How far in advance, there's some little time between plays and so much going on the sidelines, I'm sure. How far in advance do you plan plays? Are you 1, 2, 3 plays ahead? And do you script plays at the beginning of the game, for that matter?
So you script the first 24 to start the game off, but typically on any down, I'm thinking one of 3 things. The next call, so the plays called, I have about 3 plays on my mind. One for a earned first down, one for 0 to negative gain, and one for half the gain. So for instance, if it's 1st and 10, I'm thinking for the next play call, while we're lining up for 1st and 10, 2nd and 5, or 2nd and 10. So then you have those 3 so that you can keep the tempo of the game, and then you get to 2nd down, and then it goes to 2 scenarios, or I guess it's 3 still. It's your 1st and 10 call, if you get no yardage, what that 3rd down and distance is, and if you're somewhere in between. So you're doing that on every play. At least that's how I do it, every play for 3 hours, which is why you shouldn't judge me so much on my post-game press conferences.
Do you follow the 24?
Yeah, typically, yeah. No, I'm not. I mean, you just adjust. Usually the first couple plays, and then usually the first 24 are plays that we really like. So, I'll go back to, if you get off of them for a situational reason, usually I'll go back to them. But at the same time, that's not 100% because so often defenses are doing things that they've never put on tape before. So then you're adjusting with that. There's a lot of adjustment.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All right.
Interesting.